Judy here, Dr. Judy WTF, What the Freud, and with me is Christiana Davidson, my lovely therapist, my map coach, and she is a very talented hypnotherapist as well. And sometimes we get fortunate that our timing comes together, the stars are aligning, and we get to do this wonderful show together. So I'm always excited because it's always great to bounce ideas off
Mm.
another intelligent person and see what comes of it. Tonight's show is stolen creativity and narcissism. So, Christiana, thank you so much for being here. And Christiana is in London.
I
Um,
am.
she's a traveler. And welcome back to the show, and let's do more of them.
Thank you, Dr. Judy. It's so great to be back. I love doing these shows with you.
Yeah, my
And what the viewers don't see is like in the introduction music behind the scenes, Dr. Judy and I are doing like a little dance behind.
right.
So this is a lot of fun, this show, and I'm great. It's great to be here.
Yeah, this is our idea of clubbing.
Yeah, yeah. This is therapists letting loose.
Exactly. So, look, this is a call-in show, everyone. So, please call in. I'm sure that the people who have tuned in have some sort of an instinct for what we're going to talk about, which is that you, as creative beings, probably have ideas that you have talked about, and the next thing you know, a narcissist steals them, relabels them, repackages them, and then you feel like you've shared something of value for which you got no acknowledgement, and even worse, they profit and you're kicked to the curb. So let's talk about why this is happening. What is it about narcissists that incentivize them to steal your creativity and steal your ideas? Any idea, Christiana?
Well, I'm always reminded of that title of one of your shows, Dr. Judy, Power and Control.
Yes.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's about, the power and control over supply. And if you're the child of a narcissist or you're in a relationship with a narcissist, anything that you have that may be profitable, um, in terms of admiration and attention, which is supply,
Yes.
uh, and what do I mean further by that? I mean anything that's going to raise the self-esteem of the narcissist.
Yes.
Uh, they're going to use power and control over that. They've got to because they need to use it in order to maintain supply for themselves. Everything is about maintaining that control over supply.
Yes, and another thing I'm going to throw into this mix is that they're empty inside. So why wouldn't they fill their belly with your creativity, your
Mm.
ideas, your
Mm.
anything?
Yeah.
So why not devour it, make it their own, and
Mm.
then put it out there in the world? And
Mm.
then aren't they lucky that the world thinks that it's their idea?
Yes, and I love what you say there, Dr. Judy. There's that emptiness is really the disconnect from the authentic self, the
Yes.
total disconnect. And what you come with, true creativity, is the ability to connect to the authentic self and express it. Um, and to be vulnerable, to be willing to share those deepest parts of yourself through creative expression.
Absolutely.
And
So,
that's what the narcissist is cannot do. And they almost want to take it from you so that it can be their own somehow through your talents.
yeah, yes, yes, they want it to be their own. They don't understand or believe in the concept of synergy. One plus one is not greater than two. And when we mind map it and go back to the cause, it's because mother, blueprint, father, blueprint, plus baby was not greater. As a matter of fact, narcissistic parents take from their children, leaving
Mm,
them empty and
mm,
frustrated. and low in self-esteem and low in a sense of accomplishment or potentially the ability to accomplish. Why? Because even if they do accomplish, what do they do? We've heard expressions of, my son is just like me. He,
Yes.
because of me, he got into the best school. Because of me, he's got a brilliant mind. Because of my talent, he's inherited the ability to paint, draw, be a sportsman, anything. But, it all comes from me, meaning,
Or it can be the reverse, can't it? With the sort of more covert parent, it could be the opposite. Oh no, he's the talented one in the family. I'm just so in awe of him. Putting him on a pedestal and worshipping him out of that sort of victim state. I'm not good enough position of the covert narcissist that hides the grandiose within, really.
and then what does the daughter or son represent to the covert?
Well, it's their idealized self, isn't it?
It's their idealized self.
Mm.
Yes, I like that way of seeing things. And so, really, stolen creativity is not creativity, is it now?
It's not.
It's
How
not
can it be?
creativity. So it's sort of like stolen money is not your money, right?
Mm.
Stolen
Mm.
merchandise is not your merchandise. And so one of the things that remind me of my deep studies of Kabbalah, hopefully I gleaned something from my studies, is that consciousness is causal. So if you're in the consciousness of sharing
Mm.
and creating, what's going to happen? You're going to generate panel 7, 8, 9. For those of you who don't know my mind map, if you can put it up there so I could explain a little bit better. When you're in the consciousness of creativity and sharing and doing good in the world, then you help people shift their paradigm, you help people heal, and you create balance and unity on the planet. When you steal, whether it's ideas or money or anything, then it doesn't quite work out with panel 7, 8, 9. As a matter of fact, there is no panel 7, 8, 9. There's only panel number 4, 5, 6. Chaos, defenses, and breakdowns. So no matter how good a thief you are and how much you can rebrand things that come from somebody else and are created or recreated in your own style, behind it is an evilness. Behind it is an ill intention. Behind it is something very sour called a lack of acknowledgement of where your source came from. I mean, how would it be, Christiana, if I didn't acknowledge you for the work that you did, and all I did was go around saying, well, that was my idea. I did that. I did that. I did, like, first of all, you feel completely unacknowledged and you wouldn't want to have anything to do with me, I hope. Okay. Um, right? Okay. And second of all, people eventually will see through it because, after all, I think people have a sixth sense. I believe they do. I think that people are able to pick up on inauthenticity.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Mhm.
It's almost like well, not almost like, it's strange because, like you're saying there, that the narcissist will want to snatch your talents and usurp them and make them their own, and sometimes even claim them to be their own.
Yes.
Um, that can sometimes keep people in narcissistic relationships, strangely, because um, your talents, your gifts are very much caught up in the trauma bond with the narcissist.
Oh, tell me more about that. I think that's very interesting. So you're now in a
Mm.
system, right? And you're
Yes.
bonded to the person, and
Yeah.
your mate, let's say, is taking your ideas
Yeah.
and rebranding them, or
Yeah.
just flat out using them,
Yeah.
taking credit for them. and leaving you out of the credit because then
Mm.
that would lower their status.
Yeah.
And then how would that other partner accept it based on, like, what's the trade-off here?
Well, in a strange way, those that are in relationship with a narcissist, whether it be parent, whether it be partner, um, they how it works is that they have to maintain themselves as a good source of supply for the narcissist. They know they're loved when the narcissist is pleased with them as a supply source.
Mhm.
Now, when you're using your creative skills or your talents, um, at the start, often the narcissist will love bomb you about those. Or, on the other hand, they might reject those. And it sets up the trauma bond where you're constantly seeking out their reaction to your talents, what you're offering to them. So when the narcissist is wanting to use your gifts and your skills for their own means, it can sort of feel like love. It can almost feel like you're being seen and you're worth being in relationship with them because you're usable.
Right, you're usable, and there's something that you get from knowing that that person in your warped corner of your mind
Mm.
appreciates you because they're using what
Yeah,
you gave them. The
exactly.
piece here, of course, is that they're not acknowledging. So, I've
Mm,
heard this over and over in therapy where one member of the family, maybe a husband or a wife, will give an idea to another member of the family, and then they'll present that idea to a bigger organization or their work or team, and then the team will applaud them for the brilliant idea, and then nothing is acknowledged from where that came from. In other
yeah.
words, I'm big on the cause. The cause was not acknowledged. So,
Mm,
wouldn't it be amazing if that person who shared the stolen idea would say, it's so interesting, but I really wanted to bring the best of me to work. And I was talking to my spouse, my partner, the other day, and he or she sparked this idea in
mm,
me, and I want to share what was sparked out of the conversation. So it would be inclusionary, in other
mm,
words.
mm,
And then to go home to that partner and say, honey, it was fantastic what you told me because I was able to generate a great conversation, a great business plan out of it. And now we get
mm,
to profit and
mm.
we get to have the
Yeah,
light from the
yeah.
idea. In the scheme of narcissism, this concept is not there.
No, it's that's the narcissist part, but then the part of the codependent or the one in relationship with the narcissist, their part is that they tend to come in um, throwing their cards on the table, trying to sort of offering all that I have
Yeah.
uh, for you to make use of because I love you. And
And I want to please you, and this feeds right into
mm,
the people pleasers,
yeah,
right? Giving them idea after idea
yeah,
after idea after idea,
yeah,
servicing them in any way possible, not
yeah.
getting any acknowledgement, but in their mind thinking that they're scoring some sort of points.
Yes. And
Um,
that kind of raising the esteem of the codependent then. So both are trying to use each other in many ways to do that.
Right. And
Mm,
this happens a lot in the music industry. How many times have we seen articles that so and such stole somebody's words or melody and rebranded
mm,
it and tweaked it a little bit, and then they play that song and the old song and say, "Oh, doesn't that new song sound like the old song?" And now there's a lawsuit and so on.
yeah.
And we've all heard of people submitting stories and scripts, and then the next thing
Mm,
you know, somebody takes off with their idea and
mm,
rebrands it in just the right way so that it's still their idea of what is.
Yeah. So I guess, what we can learn from this actually ourselves is to, you know, not to sort of go around sharing all your great ideas without discernment, you
Yeah,
know.
yes,
I know myself being from the Christian faith, I think somewhere in the Bible it says something, don't throw your diamonds before swine.
yes.
You know, be discerning and because not everybody is going to be wanting to nurture your skills and talents for you, for the good of you and the world. They'll be wanting to nurture them for um,
So
their
that's
own
why it's like
glory.
you're saying you have to incubate these ideas, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
a little chicken's egg. You don't want to hatch
no,
it before it's born. Once it's
yeah,
born, right? Once the idea is out there in a book form or a movie form or a philosophy or something, then I think it's harder to take
mm,
ownership by another
yeah,
person.
yeah. Dr. Judy, should we talk about what it's like growing up with a narcissistic parent, and sort of the early days of your talents and how the parent uh, child relationship works in this regard?
Yes, go ahead.
So it's just, thinking of, and so many of my clients actually have experienced this. I'm thinking of one client in particular, very creative girl. She loved to sing and, really innocently, but, used to sing out loud and enjoy that kind of thing. But she would often find her mother just telling her to shut up.
Hmm.
Uh, that, oh, what's that racket? The mother used to say, and um, would never sort of give her any encouragement or would really put her down with this. And she does have a beautiful voice. She's been to singing lessons, and they've acknowledged that there is some real talent there. Um, and it's interesting to think of that. I think sometimes what happens with the narcissistic parent is this authentic innocence, this authentic creativity that is there in children is quite triggering for them, especially if the parent themselves maybe has come from a background which is more than likely where their narcissistic parents may have done the same thing to them, um,
That's
kind
right.
of stamped on their own talents and skills, whatever those were.
So
So
they don't
now,
even sense that there's a problem.
know that exactly, it's almost as if that is something to be frowned upon. It's shameful
So you're
to
bringing
express
up
your.
envy, the concept of envy. So shut
Yeah,
up, you're singing too much. What
yeah,
if that son or daughter is singing so beautifully and it's creating a trigger in the mother or the father or other siblings? Triggers like, wow, I'm not good enough. There's
mm,
she's better, he's better than I am, or
yeah,
smarter than I am. So we talk a lot about core beliefs in the healing system, and these core beliefs can't be triggered because they're too narcissistically injurious.
mm,
So if
mm,
somebody is wearing, let's just use a pretty jacket or a pretty dress, you want to steal it because you
mm,
don't want that person to look
mm,
better than you, for example. Or if
yeah,
they're wearing, jewelry, then you want to maybe steal that too because
mm,
you don't want the person to look better, classier, richer than you because it's too injurious, especially
mm,
if you're feeling less than. So it's this whole
exactly.
system gone wrong. Do not
Mm,
disturb my system. Don't make me feel bad by looking better, having better
mm,
ideas,
mm,
anything better. Not welcome
yeah.
here.
No, but then on the other hand, it's also if you have a narcissistic parent, sometimes they can project out skills and talents onto you that you actually don't really have, but are almost being uh, channeled to believe that you do, in order to fulfill some unmet desire of the parent. The false image that the parent has of their child,
Good point.
they can only see that child in that light. So the child is then under pressure to come up with skills in this particular area or to shine with this particular creativity or something. And maybe that's not their natural inkling, but it's
So,
the parents.
so it's sort of like a positive projection
Yeah,
based on the parents' desire for their children to look good.
yeah. And that's control, isn't it? Both of these things are control,
Yes,
power and control over how they will allow, how creative they will allow you to be, how authentic they will allow you to be, but they won't allow you to be authentic because they don't know you authentically. You have to be their projected image of you, whether that's negative or positive.
and the premise is you belong to me.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm supporting your free agency. I'm supporting your separation and
Yeah.
individuation eventually from me as a parent.
Which
You,
is creative.
but which is creative. You belong to me is the premise. And so whatever you do is going to further me, not you. More me than
Exactly.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, you are a reflection of me. So it's not about you being creative. This is all about reflecting the mirror image back to me of me.
And I've done some episodes on trophy children, and maybe you guys want to listen to that, which is a great example of you're a reflection on me. If you're a trophy child and you're getting medals and Academy Awards and Grammys and so forth, then what could be better for me? Because you could sit there and gloat about your son or your daughter and
Yeah.
take the credit.
Yes, exactly.
So this is
Yeah.
a call-in show, everyone. So please take advantage of the fact that Christiana is on our show tonight and very experienced. And if you want to work with her, you can. And you can certainly contact the Psychological Healing Center and do your mind map journey with her. We specialize in healing from narcissistic abuse, and you love to work with a mother-daughter disconnect in particular. Do you want to
Mhm.
talk a little bit more about, well, let's see if there's anybody calling in or
Mm.
any questions about our dialogue. Any questions in the chat room? Anybody?
So sorry, we do have one question. Someone's
Okay.
asking about how, like, if you have something creative of yours stolen, how can that impact your like self-esteem and identity in the moment, but then also over time? Like, how can that linger with you?
You want to pick that up?
Yeah, what a great question. I mean, because that is exactly it. It becomes somebody else's. Your innate gifts and talents become somebody else's. And then later on, every time you go to do them, somehow you feel like you're still serving somebody else.
Yeah.
But it's also, like we were saying, that trauma bond that's set up. It's a relationship of dependency. So the narcissist becomes the one who evaluates your work. They're either going to give you a positive reaction or they're going to give you a negative reaction. And at first, it will be positive in order to love bomb you and to draw you into wanting to please them more and more with your talent or your skill. But then there will be moments of discard, moments of criticism or slight disappointment that will make you question your talent, your gifts, the way you're doing
Right.
it.
So how does it impact people? First of all, it blows trust, right? People a lot of people try to be good natured and just they want to share, but then they don't expect this. So, the idea that now they can't be free to paint and draw and
Yeah.
create and
Mm.
do all the things that they love because they feel paranoid that it's going
Yes.
to be stolen from them. So, then maybe it'll shut down that person's creativity. So my advice is if you've got something in cooking that's creative, um, certainly if it's something that will be a money-making project, most definitely patent it, most definitely copyright it, most definitely protect it through legal means. Do not let your ideas float out there and have enough common sense if they're really great ideas that can um, gain you money in the future to, as much as possible, file them with patent attorneys and copyright and so on. So use your common sense. And then if somebody tries to steal it, you can have it time stamped, and there it is. There's the idea.
Mm. Mm.
Better yet, wait till the whole project is done and out there because people can take your ideas, even if it is patented, and then they can change it up a little bit and say, well, it's not quite what they were saying. It's a little bit different. So, as you were saying earlier, let it incubate and
Mm.
keep it under wraps.
Mm.
But what a horrible feeling, isn't it, when you put your brain power and your mind to it and your money and your time and everything, and then somebody snatches it from you. How narcissistic.
Mm. Mm. It is, but that snatching can be obvious, but it can also be very subtle, especially with a parent. It can be very hard to sort of begin to unravel yourself from the way that your talents have been manipulated into the desires of the parent. Um, because, it's not that the parent doesn't see your talents, they often do. However, they want to merge them somehow into them, so that you can never be authentically creative, authentically free.
Or there's
Um,
no boundaries. So, in other words, in the person who's the people pleaser, it seems like maybe the idea wasn't stolen. Maybe mom had
yeah,
thoughts generating of her own that added to what
exactly.
I have to say. So,
Yeah,
it's almost like a gaslight. You start questioning your
yeah.
own mind, don't you? Like, was
You
it my
do.
idea? Was it my mother's idea? Was it my
Mm,
father's idea? And then, of
mm,
course, mom could say, do you remember we talked about something like that last year? And,
mm.
it could be something like that,
Yeah,
vague
yeah.
enough to make you think that maybe that idea was already born in your
Mm.
mother's or father's or boss's or husband or wife or partner's mind.
Yeah. And I
Disheartening.
think it is. And just, lastly, in answer to that question of the viewer, um, it's it's also setting up for us something that we need to look at in ourselves and self-reflect upon is it sets up this pattern of not art for art's sake, but art for admiration and attention.
Hmm.
And children in take in these values from their parents. They learn that this is what it's about. So therefore, later in life, we're still now caught up in that narcissistic view of I have to produce something now that's going to get attention and admiration, and it's got to be positive attention and positive admiration, or else it's worthless.
Hmm.
Um, and then we too get into this whole perfectionism um, drive, and it robs us of the freedom of that child
Absolutely.
uh, to just take a blank piece of paper and express.
Hmm.
And we've got to get back to that. We've got to put down trying to get attention and admiration for our expressing our creativity in whatever way we have talents and gifts. We have to bring it back to what it's truly about, expressing who we are, not for fame and glory, but for, in my view, the good of the world and for the glory of God, I would say, for the glory of humanity. Each of us with our own skills and talents, but not for this Hollywood values, I would say.
The Hollywood values of especially people who put so much time and energy. Imagine having an experience in life and then tapping into that experiencing and creating some beautiful music or
Yeah,
poetry or a screenplay and then
yeah,
having somebody usurp it. How sad, because that was your, came from within you. And now
yeah.
within you is no longer sacred.
Mm.
What a horrible violation. Like an emotional
Yeah,
violation
it's
is what
terrible.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, especially I think in the music industry, in the acting industry,
Yeah.
all these talented young artists, and they're very vulnerable to future faking, carrot dangling, these producers coming in and seeing their talent, but
Mhm.
then somehow getting them into this parasitic relationship where they're feeding off of that talent and using it and then discarding them.
And I don't think people quite realize the power of giving credit to where the idea comes from. I mean, certainly if I'm going to do work as a psychologist, I better say, well, that idea comes from Carl
Yeah.
Jung, or this
Yes.
idea comes from Sigmund Freud.
Yeah.
That idea comes from mm, cognitive behavioral work, or,
Mm.
it's always very important to source the credit.
Mm.
Um,
Absolutely.
right?
And
Because
it's easy not to these days, isn't it? With AI and all of that, we can just, all the true authors go amiss.
right. So we're not rewarding the creativity, we're actually rewarding the product
Yeah. Yeah.
that then generates money and fame and accolades.
Mm.
And
Mm.
yeah,
Mm.
but the actual creativity of it is sacred.
Dr. Judy, do you do any creative? I know that you are creative because look at the mind map. But I wonder, do you do any creativity in your life at the moment or
Right now, I think the most creative that I self-express through is
yeah.
stories,
Oh,
particularly to my grandson.
oh,
And
lovely.
he always challenges me, so I'll just invent things. I might invent 10 stories in one night, and it always starts with once upon a time there was a wolf. I go, really? And then, and then his expression on his face will inspired me to say something else. And, the wolf and Little Red Riding Hood were not good friends, but you wouldn't believe what happened, and then I'll tweak it and I'll add elements to it, and then
Mm.
I'll involve him and say, "What do you think happened?" And then he'll say something, and then I'll build that into the story. So what I love about it is it's fun, it's funny,
Mm.
it's generative. It's not just me doing it. He
Yeah.
participates, and then
Mm.
yeah, and then he sort of like it has legs. It takes off in different directions, and then
Mm.
maybe next time it's a different version. It goes, Grandma, tell me a different version.
Oh, bless him. Yeah. He wants the next episode.
Right, next episode, different version. So that's where my creativity takes me.
Mm.
Is that a call?
Sounded like it, didn't it?
Yeah. Was that a call in?
No, it was not. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. Okay. So yeah, so my creativity is in storytelling. I still love art. I don't know why I haven't been able to really get myself back in. But sometimes I like to doodle or watercolor or just get my hands dirty with artwork. Sometimes
Mm.
it helps me when I get down to a children's level. I have a little granddaughter who's now 15 months old. I just got her these non-toxic crayons, so I think I'll sit down with her with a big pad of paper and just sit there and, we could scribble
Mm.
together and see what
Mm.
comes of it. Sometimes it's just fun to get the paper all marked
Yeah.
up, and then creativity stems from that.
It's great, isn't it? I mean, even in my
Yes,
work as a therapist, I'm sure you've done this. Sometimes it can be helpful to connect us to hidden emotions. If we're able, each of us, to make that time, like you're saying, get a blank piece of paper,
but
use some crayons.
yeah, because
It really
like
connects with that inner child,
totally,
you.
but even having this conversation to me is creative because I'm with somebody
Yes.
that I love to talk with, and
Yes,
we
me
have
too.
in common our work, and so we're
Mm.
generativity,
Yes.
creativity. So if you and I are speaking, it'll be a differently generated conversation
Yeah.
than if I'm speaking alone. So I think creativity can simply be entered into by
Mm.
talking to someone who knows how to self-reflect and
Yeah.
self-correct and add to, and my favorite word, synergy. I think
Mm.
that's creativity. So it doesn't
Mm.
have to be art or music or poetry,
No.
it's something else. Ideas.
Yes.
I just love ideas. Today I took a bunch of old jewelry that I don't even like, and I'm gonna have it melted down, and then I'm gonna
Mm.
create pieces from it.
Wow.
Yeah, why not?
New jewelry pieces.
Yeah, so the guy
Great.
melting it down is a jeweler, so I could say to him, "Oh my God, this has just been sitting there forever. I don't wear it. I don't like it. So let's melt it down and then get some ideas as to
I love that.
patterns." And then it doesn't cost a lot of money because that old gold
Mm.
is just sitting there, and
Hmm.
then they can shape it any way they that you tell them to, and then you just, it's very fulfilling. Create.
It's funny you say that because I was out shopping today in one of the big stores here in London,
Okay.
and I was aware of how our world really tries to sort of dictate our creativity, in a way rob us of it as well, because we're all sort of told through the advertisements, through the models in the shop window, what we should be wearing, what we should look like, what we should,
Yeah.
and so you go in then, and you're in the back of your mind subconsciously, you've got this image that's been fed to you that you've got to try to recreate.
Yes.
um
Yes.
and in a way, we've lost that sense of, what do I like?
Yeah.
What
What
do I
do you like?
really like?
Well,
Yeah.
one way to tell is I have this expression called the aha experience. And so today, as an example, I was holding this set of pearls, and they're old, they're not worth a lot, but I just don't like them. They're just like, I don't know, not very interesting. And then I had this old little brooch or something, and then I put it next to the pearls, and I thought, aha, like, I really love the way
Mm,
that and that combines. And so that
yes.
plus that makes the whole thing interesting. That alone is boring. That alone is boring, but together it makes it interesting.
Mm. Well,
So,
I think you are going to have to show us the results of your creations
okay, I
in your
will.
next episode.
I'm excited. I hope the guy delivers in his craftsmanship. So,
I'm
um,
sure.
and this could be so for old clothes, or I'm not very
Mm.
good at sewing. I'm not good at all. But imagine if you have something that you don't like, but if you could just change the lapel, or you could put some
Mm.
cool buttons on it, or you can iron
Mm.
on some sort of a something,
Mm.
um, you could
Yeah,
transform it.
it's I think the escape from narcissistic control, whether it be in childhood, current relationship, or in society as a whole, is to discover our individuality and
Yeah.
to be willing to share that, to express that.
Yes.
And I think this is what will begin, even, like we're talking silly, it sounds like silly little things, being willing to express what you like as opposed to what you should like in society.
And
It already begins to change the world.
oh, totally. And to me, it's really helpful when I can express it to people that I love. Like, obviously, I
Yeah,
love my children and grandchildren.
yeah,
So I want to give to them. I want to make them laugh. I want to do something that sparks them. Or even
yeah.
my dogs. I want to do something fun for my dogs, or just make them, excited, or buy them a new ball, or anything
Mm,
will be a little bit different for them and
mm,
stimulate them. And then I love it.
mm,
Doesn't
mm,
have to be this grand creative, I'm going to write a
mm.
movie or do a script, or it could be
No,
anything, or redecorate your room, and you don't have to buy a lot of
yeah,
stuff. Maybe you just take a couple of pillows and switch them out, or put a new
yeah,
candle in your room to tie all the
mm,
colors together. Just, just
yeah.
like thinking and
Well,
thinking.
but it also takes courage that, Dr. Judy. When you come from a narcissistic family system, it takes courage to trust your choices, to trust what you like. There's
That's a
this,
great
you know,
point. Right.
I remember one of my clients was terrified to change the colors of the paint in her room because she didn't know how to take that step to do it. It was just so foreign to her not to have to check with somebody else, or she was worried if she did do it, it would be
Oh, so
wrong.
so
And
there
then,
we go back to our theme, which is stolen creativity.
mm,
So when our parents steal our creativity, it
mm,
makes us doubt our own mind,
yeah, yes,
question ourselves,
yeah,
right? And then when we
yeah,
question ourselves, then we get steeped in our own squat and we don't make changes, and
yeah,
everything's the same old, same old.
yeah,
It really was quite refreshing for me to shake it up today, even with this just old
mm,
stuff that I never used, and just let's see what that looks like with that. And wow, that is really cool looking.
mm,
Or if I add a
mm,
little bit of that with that, that's even more cool looking. And
yeah,
how do you free your mind to do that? First of
yeah,
all, get healed
mm,
so that you're not living in a
mm,
narcissistic trap.
yeah, yeah. And I think also is to actually just be aware that that fear that may come up towards making decisions about what you like and expressing what you like is is just a feeling. It's not the truth. Um, that actually we have to feel those feelings of fear and just do it anyway. Take the risk, be
Yeah,
courageous, be adventurous. What's the worst that can happen?
right.
Um,
And your client who's afraid to paint the room could start with painting a wall and
yes,
see
good
how
point.
that
Break it
goes.
down.
Just break it down. And
Mm,
then big deal, if it's the wrong color, they could keep mixing and mixing. I remember
yeah.
back in the day, I love decorating. First of all, I love it so much. So
Mm,
I remember there was a little apartment unit, and I spent so much time just trying to get it was like an avocado green that I was trying to mix. And I
like
kept
your top.
yeah, like, no, this is actually gray. Maybe it comes off as
Oh,
avocado green, but I just wanted this nice, rich avocado green for the bathroom because I wanted to do black and white tile in for the floor and something for the counter. But it was like, is it really going to make that much of a difference to how much that unit is going to rent for? Well, maybe, but I just got off on mixing, and I was not happy until I got that color. And then when I did and I put it on, I go, aha, it was that light bulb
mm,
moment.
mm,
Okay. And
mm,
that's creativity to me, is when you keep
yeah.
working it and working it, and then it's like, aha.
Mm, mm.
So I
Yes,
just
it is
want
a process.
yeah, I just want to put an idea out there for people who are afraid of their own
Mm,
decision making. Um, don't settle for mediocre. When I'm talking about little things like the color of your wall, wait till you get that aha experience. If you're going to find a candle for your room, don't settle for, yeah, it smells okay. Like wait till, oh my God, that smells fantastic.
Mm, mm,
Okay, and that's
mm,
where you can re-spark your creativity because
mm,
creativity doesn't live in the, it's okay. Like, you go shopping and you put a shirt on and you think, yeah, I'll buy it. It's okay. No, don't buy it. It's just okay. No, wait till you're in love with it.
mm,
It doesn't have
mm,
to be more money for it. It just could be that one really gives you that feeling and the other one doesn't.
mm,
So
mm,
wait.
mm. Exactly.
Okay, so that going back to higher power, I think that
Mm,
aha experience comes not from your narcissistic parent, but
mm.
it comes from connection
Yeah.
to beauty and authenticity. So you want to keep connecting to that. And then that's how
Yes.
you overcome your stolen uh, creativity, is you connect with creativity from the light and you preserve that and you share that with the right people. And if you're driven to people please a narcissist, please call us so that we can get you off the what the
Mm.
Freud merry-go-round
And the double dungeon.
and the double dungeon, get you out of the double dungeon of darkness,
Yes.
right?
Well, you can't, there's no creativity there because
No, no.
there's no light.
So
I love
what?
what you said, Dr. Judy. It's, each of us, I believe, is here to bring the light into
Yeah,
the world. What is the light? It's the light of God, I believe. And the way that we can do that is through our unique gifts and talents. We're here to allow that light to channel through us, through those talents,
right. And you
for
can
our
call it
joy. And
God, you can call it the light, you can
yeah,
call it creativity. It's not
yeah,
specific to people who believe or
no,
don't believe.
no,
It's the goodness that's
yeah,
pouring out of you that you tap
yes,
into, that you
yes.
share
What brings you joy? Actually,
totally.
what
And
brings you
I'm
joy?
telling, right, don't squander it. Don't
No,
let your creativity be stolen. Don't be a
no,
people pleaser to people who you think you're going to please and get brownie points from because you're not. They're
mm,
going to get the brownie points and you're going to be the leftover. And when they've milked you enough of your ideas, they're going to kick you to the curb because that's what happens because they
mm.
want all the credit. However,
And yes, and yeah, don't worry though if you are feeling like you can't separate your gifts and talents from your narcissistic parent partner, um, and you're feeling like you can never get back to that creative spark that you had.
yes.
um, you can, but it will take some work and some exploration. That's all, and we can help you with that.
Totally,
Um,
and don't give it away. And just remember, everyone out there listening to this, that if your talents were stolen, it's and
mm,
whoever stole them is not being authentic,
mm,
okay? And according to my mind map, which I've watched the process of in my life and other people's lives,
mm,
the minute you tap into the consciousness of stealing, the consciousness of darkness, you will, even though you think, oh, I got the idea, la, 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 okay, watch over time that stolen idea that lacks the intensity and
yeah,
the integrity and the authenticity will end up like a cheap suit, okay? It'll
yeah,
it'll fall apart I'm serious.
mm,
It'll fall apart in chaos, defenses, and breakdowns.
mm,
I'm thinking of something really, really funny. I remember when my grandson was really, really little. His favorite song was Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and Judy Garland would sing it. And one day I played him another version, and somebody else was singing it, and he was so angry. It wasn't the authentic version. He did not
Mm.
like it at all.
This is very interesting, isn't it? I mean, especially if we're at the moment in our world with AI,
Right.
um, this is what's, I think, can we still discern the authentic
Yes,
human
yes, yes. I
creativity
don't
as
think the
opposed to a
AI
generated one?
I don't think the AI is going to, it's
Mm,
good for a momentary thing, but it's
mm.
not the real deal.
It's
Sorry,
not, is it? It's not.
not the real deal. We want the
There's
real,
no real voice, like authentic voice. There's a
yeah, we're going to get,
mishmash.
yes, yes, we're going to get sick of it. It's like, ugh, so
Yeah.
boring, boring, boring.
No authenticity.
No authenticity. So
Mm,
even if your ideas are stolen, rest assured that those stolen ideas are going to be sniffed out by others. It's just not going to resonate on a cellular level, authentic cellular level. And that idea coming from their stealing it, your idea, which is now translated into their stolen idea, is going to lack authenticity, and it's coming from a very evil place. They stole
mm.
it. Okay?
Yes.
So it'll break down. Assuredly, it'll break down into chaos, defenses, and then ultimate breakdowns. Okay?
Mm,
So trust the universe on this one.
mm, mm.
So
Absolutely.
any thoughts or questions? I know we just have a few minutes. Any other questions?
Well, I think it's just got me thinking about, where am I being where am I expressing my creativity in my own life? And am I doing that? And I think I'm going to bring a bit more of that into my morning meditation now. Maybe just allow myself to have a blank piece of paper and express express what's going on that way. Because I think it's something that, we do need to work at is developing our creativity, making time for it because it gets lost sometimes, doesn't it, in the
Yes.
to-do list.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. So if there are no other questions in the chat room, no others?
No, I'm not seeing any at this point.
Okay, thank you very much, Jamie. And Christiana, it's always a pleasure, extreme pleasure to have you. Uh,
Likewise, Dr. Judy.
and we'll do more often. And
I hope it made sense because it's midnight here. Oh, it's 1 a.m. now.
it makes sense. And I know you're in different time zone. I really appreciate you staying up
Mm.
to do this. And hopefully you'll be in LA soon, and then it'll be easier to go to the studio where the lighting is excellent. And, and we can do more of them. So everyone, thank
Great.
you very much, Christiana.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
very much for being here today and sharing your authenticity and your creativity.
Thank you, Dr. Judy. Likewise, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Everyone, till next time. See you, everyone, next time we meet. Good night.